to call our meeting of August the 5th to order and welcome everyone here today. We'll start with our roll call and Asphodel Norwood, Mayor Wilford.
Present.
And Deputy Mayor Burt is online.
Good morning.
Morning. Kevin Monaghan, Mayor Graham.
Present.
Deputy Mayor Huntley.
And good morning.
And Duro Dummer, Mayor Watson. Good morning. And Deputy Mayor Nelson.
Good morning.
Havelock Belmont Methuen, Mayor Martin.
Present.
And Deputy Mayor Webb.
Present.
North Kawartha, Mayor Amiot.
Good morning.
And I think the deputy mayor will be coming online.
I'm here if you can hear me.
There he is. Okay. Do you have your life jacket on, Jen?
I needed more than that the other night, but glad to be here.
Thank you. Otonabee South Monaghan, Mayor Taylor.
Here.
And myself, Deputy Mayor Clark. And in Selwyn, we have the Deputy Warden and Mayor Senes present, and Deputy Mayor Black.
Present.
And Trent Lakes, we have Mayor Linshead
I am present.
and Deputy Mayor Armstrong. Present. Thank you. We'll now start with our land acknowledgement.
With deep respect, we acknowledge the lands and interconnected waterways that bind us together, the foundation for all life. These lands serve as a keeper of history and stories and are a source of inspiration. In recognizing this, we embrace that all living things possess an important energy and purpose. We extend the utmost gratitude to the original peoples who have been caretakers of these lands and waters of this region from time immemorial, and to this day who continue this commitment. Peterborough County's dedication to reconciliation remains steadfast. In this spirit, we are committed to nurturing meaningful partnerships and connections that contribute to an environment of prosperity and well-being for all generations to come. This acknowledgement is made on the Treaty 20 land and the territory of the Mississauga and Anishinaabe, and within the traditional lands of the Mississauga and Chippewa nations, collectively known as the Williams Treaty First Nations. Further, our gratitude is extended to the nations of Alderville, Beausoleil, Curve Lake, Georgina Island, Hiawatha, Rama, and Scugog Island.
We will now have a moment of silent reflection. Thank you. Just remind everyone under our procedural rules that you can speak to the main, certainly to the main question, no longer than 5 minutes in total. This is a very full agenda. So just keeping that in mind, please be concise and we will go from there. So adoption of our agenda, please, for today. And just there is an amendment, and that is to have our closed session. We will break for that at 11:30 today. So moved by Councillor Wilford and second by Councillor Amiot. All in favor? Thank you. Does anyone have disclosure of pecuniary interest in any agenda item? And if so, please tell us the nature of. And I see none online. There's Jim is now out of the canoe, so that's great on land. I see none. Now, our minutes in our package from June the 24th, a mover for those and moved by Deputy Warden Senes and seconder by Councillor Lambshead. All in favor? Thank you. So moving right to delegation, Richard, he is here to present our audited financial statements. Welcome, Richard.
Good morning, everyone. Pleasure to be here again. So yes, today we will run through the presentation slides on the screen. Back on June the 10th, the detailed financial statements were reviewed with the Finance Committee, and we addressed some questions. And there are questions there, and as a result, then here we're presenting the summarized version. So first up is on the next slide is a summary of the independent auditor's report. The auditor's report remains the same. So for the county this year, you have your standard clean, unqualified auditor's report that says, in our opinion, the accompanying consolidated financial statements present fairly in all material respects the financial position of the county at December 31st and results of its operations and its cash flows for the year then ended in accordance with Canadian Public Sector Accounting Standards or PSABs. So that is what you're used to seeing. The next couple of slides gives you an idea of some of the audit procedures we do to gain the audit evidence we need to produce our auditor's reports. And then on the next slide, you will see there the audit's complete pending some receipt now. Just received some of the letters this morning. So it's just some of your legal letters. Overall, there were no difficulties encountered during the audit, and there were no uncorrected misstatements. And as a result, then everything is clean from an audit perspective. So that is good. And as well, too, for 2025, there were no reporting changes for PSAB, which is also nice as well. So next, we'll move along to some of the numbers. In the court for PSAB, they divide up the your assets between financial assets. So these will be assets that you have that are cash or will be turned into cash. Overall, on the 5-year trend, moving across the slide, you will see there that your total financial assets did increase year over year, and that's mainly due to the fact you did have an increase in your reserves at the end of the year as well too. You'd owed amounts to others in accounts payable, therefore causing your cash to increase, and as well too your investments grew by growth. In the following year, you were owed some money in respect for capital projects for the causeway, and you received that in 2025. So in total, at the end of the year, you had about almost $75 million in total financial assets. The next slide gives you an idea of who you owe money to, and then this is your liabilities, and you will see there that you had a fair bit of increase in your accounts payable and accrued liabilities, and that's mainly due to capital works that you're doing in conjunction with some other neighboring municipalities, causing that liability to increase. You still have money set aside that you can use moving forward in your deferred revenue, mainly your obligatory reserve funds, mainly your development charges, and you still about $8.5 million, and you still have some Canada Community Building Fund money in there as well. You have some deferred revenue mainly related to land ambulance. Your long-term debt is nearing paying off, and that's in relation to the Armour Road facility. You will see there that over the last few years, with changes to PSAB, the movement of items out of landfill closure and post-closure liability to asset retirement obligations, but still under both scenarios, the majority of that obligation does relate to your landfill. And then as well too, you still have some retiree future employee benefits that are outstanding, about $2.1 million. So in total, you had about $47.5 million in financial liabilities. And the next slide gives you a 5-year trend on your net financial assets, and you can see there that bit of a decline in 2023 and 2024, where you were doing your large capital project in relation to the causeway, and then an increase this year as well with your increase in reserves, but still you're still in the positive at 27 million. And then the following slide gives you an idea of your non-financial assets, and you can see there that consistent with your decrease in your net financial assets, you'll see the large increase in your tangible capital assets from 2022 to 2023. So you shifted your assets from something that was liquid into a tangible asset. And then as well too, you still have some prepaid expenses at the end of the year, and there were some deposits made on some vehicles causing that increase year over year. The following slide gives you an idea of your capital asset additions, and you can see there the majority of them do relate to roads and bridges, and there was a fair bit of bridge work done within that $10.4 million, as well as road resurfacing and surface treatments, creating most of most of that cost there were capitalized assets. You can see there, the impact of your large capital projects over the last couple of years, and then not as much in 2025. But still, you're, with the additions and larger additions in 22, 23, and 24, you can see there the black bar, your amortization is increasing as those assets are now being amortized as they're all put into service. The next slide gives you an idea of your accumulated surplus. So on the detailed financial statements, you'll see there that you almost had $212 million in accumulated surplus. But if you take a look, the majority of that is invested in your capital assets. So those are items you're not looking to turn into cash, being your almost $161 million. And then as well too, you also have you'll see there the county operations, the surplus line was $4.9 million at the end of 2024, and that was transferred into reserves in 2025. And then the surplus at the end of 2025 was $4.7 million. And then as well too, it's your reserve and reserve funds that you can use moving forward. And you can see there that they did increase in total up to just $48.1 million at the end of 2025. So then you do have some resources to assist you in your capital planning in years moving forward. And then the next slide gives you an idea of your consolidated statement of operations and showing the change in your surplus deficit and the components thereof. And you can see there within the first column, the budget column, when you set your tax rate, you're not supposed to have a surplus. And then the reconciliation part does show you that those other items being differences in relation to PSAB, you can see the changes there. And then as well too, within the actuals, you will see all the changes there. Since PSAB treats all your capital fund, operating fund, and reserve funds as one equity, whereas internally you budget those as specific items. So those are the main differences there. And you will see there that there was a change in the landfill liability of about $1.8 million, and that you'll see that in a reduction in expenses a little later on. And then the following slide gives you an idea as your revenues expenses over the last 5 years. You can see they're both are increasing over the term. And then as well, the following slides gives you some additional further detail on the revenues and expenses overall. You had about a little over $101 million in total revenue, which is higher than your budget. Part of that is your investment income did increase year over year and is higher than budget. That helps contribute to your surplus, which was nice to see, as some other municipalities, the investment income was going down from the previous year. And as well too, within your property taxation, your supplementaries were higher. Your unfortunately, your provincial revenue is higher than budgeted, and that's largely attributable to the storm funding that you received. So you have some additional revenue, but you also have additional costs, as you'll see on the next page. So and as well too, you utilize some development charges and your Canada Community Building Fund, giving you your total revenue there being above budget. And then the following slide gives you an idea as to where you spent your money. And you can see there in total coming in under budget. But as mentioned earlier, with the additional provincial revenue for the storm costs, your protection costs are significantly over budget, as that's where those costs are. And then as well too, your environmental services, the change in the landfill liability in that estimate, causing your environmental services to be below budget as well. And then the following slide gives you an idea as that the type of expenses that you have, and some of those variances, both amortization being higher than budgeted, causing your transportation services line to be higher than budgeted on the previous page, and then some of the variances within your materials, and that's where the change in the landfill had occurred, and as well too within rents and financials, the accretion expense, the growth in your asset retirement obligation is included in that total, but not within the budget for $746,000, leaving you a total of almost $94 million in total expenses for the year. So that's a summary of where things finished off for the county in good position. And as well, we'd like to thank too your staff for all the hard work that they do to get the numbers to where they are. And without them, the timing wouldn't be like what you're seeing as this is being completed back in June. So thank you.
For any questions? I see no questions. So, oh yes, Councillor Taylor.
Thank you, Warden Clark. Thank you, Richard. It's good to see you here again. I think we've been through this before, but I really just need a memory refresh. Marissa, could you call on slide 11 on the presentation, please? Thank you. Richard, under surplus, the second line has the unfunded landfill closure and post-closure liability at 0. But then down below under reserves, we have landfill site post-closure costs in 2025 at $4.7 million. Could you just help explain those two numbers and how they jive?
All right, I will do my best. Back in 2023, with the change in the asset retirement obligation, the new standard picked up both landfills, and in your case, you have some asbestos in your buildings and gravel pits that do require rehabilitation. So with that change, then all of those liabilities now get presented as a reduction in your invested in capital assets. So it didn't go away; it just got grouped together with the top line. So. Okay. So, and I think it's about $19 million and it was 18. So, you can see there that, although you added a lot of capital in 2023, your invested in capital didn't go up that much because that liability now just moved up to that line. And then your landfill site closure and post-closure liability, then that's the money you're setting aside for when you're actually going to have to incur those costs to close that. So, the first one gives you an idea of what it might cost you in the future, and the second line is the funds that you have set aside to pay for that.
So if I can, as a follow-up, so we have rolled the post-closure liability into several other items as well. But do we have a number that we're considering as strictly landfill post-closure liability on its own?
Yes. Yeah, and that is the majority of your, you go back to slide number 6. Under your financial liabilities, you will see their asset retirement obligations is $19.8 million, of which 18.4 of that total is related to the landfill.
Wow.
And the balance is both the asbestos and the gravel pit.
Okay, thank you. I knew that the liability had not disappeared.
No.
And it's certainly significant. Thank you.
Yeah.
The city's not going to take it all over, Joe, were you hoping? Anyway, any further questions? I see none. Just a motion then to receive, please. And Councillor Huntley and Councillor Armstrong, all in favor? And I would, first of all, thank you, Richard, but also to our staff and the Finance Committee as well. You noted how the investment income had increased, and that's not the norm here in the county, let alone in the province. So well done to both. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Okay, moving on to our next delegation, Kevin Jones, Senior Consultant with Paradigm Transportation Solutions, and that is about the Lakefield Transportation Master Plan Municipal Class Environment Assessment, and that will be followed by Doug Sakosha as well. So we'll likely have questions for both. Please go ahead, Kevin.
Thank you. And through you, Warden and members of council, I'm pleased to present the Lakefield Road Network Transportation Master Plan on behalf of county staff and our project team. Next slide, please. So this project was undertaken as part of the municipal class environmental assessment process using approach number 1. And really that involves two parts of the process, first two steps of the process. With phase 1 is where we gather information, assess what the problems and opportunities are. Phase 2 looks at alternative solutions for solving those problems, with the culmination of a preparation of a transportation master plan report listing recommendations. As part of that process, we have consultation throughout the project. We did have 2 public information centers, one in October of 2025, the last one in May of 2026, to present information and seek feedback from stakeholders and community members. And we're issuing our notice of master plan upon approval of the project. Next slide, please. The study looked at the Lakefield area, looked at how we respond to growth in the Lakefield area. As part of the study, the county is looking to assess the need for a second crossing of the Otonabee River through Lakefield area. And if justified, identified a preferred location for that crossing so it can be protected for the future. And then also look at some interim traffic improvements to accommodate some of the growth in the community in the overriding time period. Next slide, please. In 2014, the Transportation Master Plan was the first time when the county really identified the need for a second crossing at Lakefield. Bridge Street is forecast to exceed, at that time, capacity by 2031. Now, updated growth forecasts have been completed, and when the county redid the Transportation Master Plan in 2022, the need was reconfirmed, but the capacity deficiency was extended to 2051. And that really reflects the nature of how Lakefield has grown over the time period. But that study recommended that this study be done to identify the location for a new bridge. And part of that is because of ongoing development in Lakefield, which has kind of reduced some of the opportunities that were available in the 2014 Transportation Master Plan. So future growth has been assessed in Lakefield. By 2051, we're expecting about 3,500 new residents to the community, and that's going to put a lot of pressure on the transportation infrastructure. Already, we have about 700 trucks a day that use Bain County Road through downtown Lakefield on Bridge Street and through Queen Street. And really, as part of our work, we reconfirmed the growth is going to create pressure on County Road 29. It will be at or over capacity by 2051 if no improvements are made. And we also noted that the bridge provides that lifeline in the community, and any impacts to that bridge is going to sever the community, impacting emergency resources, access to businesses, access to schools, and so forth. And also, as part of looking at active transportation in the community, it was noted that this is the only link that provides connectivity across the river for walkers or people on cyclists. And that crossing is not really comfortable, particularly for cyclists where there is no space. Next slide, please. As part of our initial assessment, we looked at 5 different options in terms of where a new crossing could be located. And we did a little bit of a screening process to say, well, how well would they affect or address the problems? Option number 5, which was the southernmost option at the 5th line, didn't draw enough traffic away from the problem area, so you still had those capacity issues in downtown Lakefield. So that one was screened out from further consideration. All of the other ones we carried forward because they did provide some benefit and had different effects. Next slide, please. We also did a bunch of background reviews to understand the impacts of the area and what key features are in the area. We did a growth forecast. We have a transportation model. The city and county have a large scale transportation model. So we were able to look at regional flows, how traffic flows through the study area, including cars and trucks. We look at natural environmental features, cultural environmental features, archaeological resources, built heritage resources, particularly in the downtown. And we look at socioeconomic considerations like business impacts, loss of parking, visitor traffic, agricultural lands, and future development areas, which is pretty important given where the growth is planned in the Lakefield area. Next slide, please. We developed each of our alternatives to what we call a conceptual level of design, just so we could understand what the implications would be, what the right-of-way would look like, how many properties would be affected. The two on the left, alternative 1 and alternative 4, One alternative one was widening the existing corridor through Lakefield on Bridge Street and into Queen Street. Alternative 4 was a new crossing at the 6th line. And then the ones on the right, all the variations on a new crossing located somewhere in the 7th line area with different alignments to look at different ways that you cross the river, different locations, and how you tie into the road network on the east side. Next slide, please. We looked at 27 different criteria to evaluate each of those options, grouped under those 5 key areas of transportation and technical considerations, socioeconomic, cultural, and natural. And as you can see, alternative 1 and alternative 4 on both ends of the spectrum really rank the worst on most of the measures in terms of the transportation and technical. Alternative 1, widening through downtown Lakefield obviously would remove all of the on-street parking, basically really severely impacting the businesses, and wouldn't necessarily solve all of the problems either, because really that area is constrained by the intersection at Queen Street and Bridge Street, which you can only process so much traffic through there. Alternative 4, widening through the 6th line. Again, it's further away from the village, didn't draw quite as much traffic away, and did rank poorly on a number of the other environmental features as well. Alternative 2A, B, and 3 all performed fairly similarly. Alternative 2B, which was one that we developed as we started looking a little bit deeper into the designs, and that one ranked a little bit better. It involved a skewed alignment to the bridge that helped us reduce some impacts for some of the key features in the study area and reduce some of the potential risks with protecting a corridor in there. So that was actually recommended as our preferred corridor alignment. Next slide, please. As I mentioned, we did public engagement throughout the project with a couple of public open houses. We had a business owners meeting with businesses in downtown Lakefield. We had a survey that they completed so we could better understand, the 2 key factors that they cited was, access to visitor traffic, which was a concern if you're considering a new route, but also access to parking. So it was a bit of a trade-off, and we wanted to understand those sensitivities for them. We met with First Nations, had 9 different communities notified. We did have a follow-up meeting with Curve Lake to discuss their interests and aspects on the project. We had a technical advisory committee with members from Selwyn Township and Douro Dummer, technical staff, to help us understand some of their issues and concerns and interests with regard to the project. And we also had a meeting with Parks Canada to understand, because the Trent Severn Waterway is a national protected site, and they have, obviously navigation issues through the canal. So we wanted to understand some of their concerns. Next slide, please. As part of PIC2, we actually got another alternative suggested by a member of the public, a couple of them actually on 7th line, looking to relocate the corridor to the root of these long, deep lots on the 7th line. So we did take a look at it. There were a number of reasons why it really didn't solve some of the problems or reduce some of the issues, as we noted there. But we did have a look at it and decided it wasn't worth taking forward to the full evaluation, because it did require a lot of extra property displacement, some impact to provincially significant wetland area, and still had issues on the east side with regards to potential impacts to the sewage treatment lagoons. Next slide, please. So our recommendations is to, first of all, plan for some future traffic signals in the interim at County Road 29 and the 7th line, and County Road 29 at Water Tower Road. Those were both identified through the Lakefield South secondary plan process. So that's stuff that's in planning process now. We also identified the need to extend the sidewalk on the south side of County Road 29 west of the school to provide access to those that are moving to the Lakefield South area and give them a walking route. The main recommendation is to protect a corridor for a future second crossing of the Otonabee River. And really, this isn't about building a crossing. This is about protecting a corridor so your interests are protected for the long term. Our preferred location is alternative 2B, and you can see this is the alignment as it crosses the river. It basically involves using 7th line. At some point, the county would assume 7th line as a county road, implement a future right-of-way of 36 meters to protect for county road standards, and then cross the river on a skew angle to tie into County Road 33, somewhere in the area of Concession Street. Although we have identified a large property protection area on the east side to give a lot of flexibility, because the next stage of this project, when the county decides to implement, would be to do the detailed sort of preliminary design for this facility. And that gives a lot of flexibility to adjust the alignments if you find some features in there you want to avoid, or you want to optimize the way you connect into the Concession Street intersection. And that was an important part of the study, is maintaining connectivity to the community, because what people told us is if you put a new bypass further away from the community, you bypass the community completely. You don't provide that connectivity into the community. So this was an important part of why this alternative ranked the best, because it does provide that opportunity to connect into the community to all the different features, industrial lands on the south end, the downtown, and accessing the residential areas on both sides of the town. The next step would be to implement this in your county and municipal official plans to protect that corridor, so that when development proceeds, you have to consider this corridor, and you can decide whether to approve the development or at least make sure the development respects that corridor protection. Next slide, please. We did present to both the local municipalities and got municipal endorsement for our recommendations from Duro Dummer and Selwyn Township. And we're now here to seek county council endorsement for the recommended plan and to post it for a 30-day review period. Next slide, please. So as I mentioned, our next steps is to obviously present to you today and seek county council endorsement. We will publish the Transportation Master Plan report for a 30-day public review period, where comments will be received as well, and county staff and the team will address any comments we receive. And then after that, the master plan would be approved, and you're free to proceed to the next steps as you see fit. Also, we look to amend the official plan to actually identify that protected corridor, so it gets enshrined in the official plans. And with that, I would be happy to take any questions you may have. Thank you.
Engineering and construction to join you at the podium. So I'll open to questions first. See, none online. Yes, go ahead, Councillor Watson.
Warden, thank you. Through you, Kevin, we talked about this before, Highway 28 and County Road 33. And I understand that the good work that's happened to get this plan to where it is today, and the consultation and the feedback, and that the group has listened to feedback from residents and all of the different organizations involved. And I fundamentally appreciate that. I am concerned that while this plan, this corridor, the intention is to address traffic concerns in and around the village of Lakefield, I'm gravely concerned that the unintended consequence would be the traffic congestion and problems with Highway 28 and County Road 33 or Block Road. In your presentation today, Kevin, 700 trucks going through the village of Lakefield. That intersection is already overwhelmed with traffic. I know you're all familiar with that intersection, particularly this time of year. And I know that the secondary kind of detailed technical plan would look at that. But I fundamentally believe that the MTO needs to be looped in on this sooner than later, because we all know how challenging it is to work with the MTO at times. And I know that Mayor, Councillor Amiot and the mayors all along the corridor of Highway 28 have been working as a unified group to ensure that all of 28 is safer. But this intersection keeps coming up. It even came up at our council meeting last night with some deep concerns. So I just really want to stress the importance of making sure that the record is there, that we are intending on setting up some sort of arrangement with the MTO so that as time moves on, we're able to address those concerns, because that intersection isn't getting any safer.
I think Doug may step in.
Thank you. Through you, Warden. So through the process, the MTO was notified. They were on our agency and contact list. But what I can say and commit to at a staff level is we do meet annually with the MTO staff. And once, and if approved by council, this would then be an approved county project. We can then, at a staff level, when we meet, we can review that with them and start pushing early, understanding we do have a 20 to 25 year time. But we can definitely put that on, I would say, on for them to recognize through you. So that's something at a staff level, if approved today, that we would be able to then have that discussion with annually.
Thank you.
All right, and Sheridan?
Thank you, and through you, just so council is aware, we do have a delegation with MTO at AMO in August, and we have specific requests that they really look at where growth pressures are in the county as a whole and do their study preparation more expediently than what they're doing, but we can add this to that delegation as well.
Yeah, thank you. Any further questions? Yes, Councillor Black.
Thank you through your word, and thanks for the presentation, Kevin. Just for clarity for the residents that are on the 7th line now, this protects that corridor. At what point is that 36-meter widening actually come into effect? If they want to make an addition to their home, put a garage on, at what point would that land actually be taken into the county?
Through you, Madam Warden. There's 2 steps to that process. The first is the property protection plan. So that in the official plan would designate an area that is called a property protection, where the county wouldn't own that property, but they would protect that property. So if someone wanted to make an improvement to their property that fell within that 36-meter right of way, that could be denied through the planning approvals process. And maybe to work with the resident to determine what else could be done. The next step would be where the county would actually acquire those lands. And that would be well down the road, closer to when you decided to implement this, and you would assume that property, and then the county would be, looking to acquire those lands to protect that right away. That would be sort of the second phase when you're actually ready to implement, and that's where you would actually purchase the property from the adjacent residents.
Thank you, Philip. Yeah, thank you through your word. Well, thanks for the clarification, because this is a 25-year plan, and so this is not imminent for any of those landowners at this point, but somewhere down the road, 10 years, whatever, it may be a factor for their property. But right now, there's no intention to outright buy that 36-meter strip. Okay, thank you.
Okay. I see no further questions. All right, I'll look for a motion first, just to receive the presentation from Kevin first, please. So moved by Councillor Graham, second by Councillor Nelson. All in favor? Thank you. And then Doug, anything you'd like to add to this before we entertain the motion?
Through your no, Jen, I just want to say thanks to all the staff involved, both at a county level as well as both participating townships. A lot of work went in for those TAC members that participated. A lot of meetings and again, just really want to show that appreciation. So
Okay.
with that, the recommendation is before council.
Okay. So I'm looking for support of this, a mover and seconder, moved by Councillor Nelson again, and second by Councillor Lambshead. All in favor? Thank you. Thank you, gentlemen, for the presentation. And now, moving on, we'll invite Sheldon Laidman to the podium. He is the project developer for the multi-use sport and event center for the city of Peterborough. Welcome, Sheldon.
Thank you, Warden and Council, for having me here today. If you could move to the second slide there, Clerk. So I know you've got a long agenda here, so I will try to keep this to 10 minutes, and I should be able to here. This is obviously a unique situation. It's a city project. Why are we coming to the county council for this? There's really a number of reasons for this at this point, which become clear as I go through the 10 slides here. Really wanted to just provide, it's obviously a large regional facility if the city is able to build a new arena, multi-sport event center. Our existing problems with the Memorial Center in being able to host regional events. It's something that affects the whole region rather significantly. So which I'll go over some statistics for that as well today. But just so council's aware of the challenges we're having with the Memorial Center, funding a new event center that would be beneficial for the region. And just so people understand, the residents and county council, what our next steps are in this rather large project going forward. Next slide, please. So just with the Memorial Center, just to start with that, and I know everyone's generally familiar with the Memorial Center, but it's obviously 70 years old. It has definitely reached the end of its life in terms of a facility that can meet modern expectations. It is the only venue of its type and size, in our overall region of Ontario. But it doesn't meet OHL standards any longer. It doesn't meet expectations for concert promoters. It lacks modern expected amenities for concessions, gathering spaces, various things that people expect in this type of event center. And really, analysis of the building, there's no opportunity. Doesn't make financial or operational sense to try to bring it up to a modern standard right now. Next slide. So just in terms of additional with the Memorial Center. So just on the horizon, just to keep the building operating, it's $22.5 million of capital repairs expected over the next 15 years. We're doing $1.5 million in 2026 right now. So this is an expensive facility to maintain. And now those 22 million includes, windows, flooring, refrigerator, cooling facilities, all those types of things. It adds up. And that doesn't include the structural roof repairs that you probably heard in the media, where at least one concert's already been canceled, and probably large concerts will no longer be able to be done where rigging's going to be expected from the roof. There are significant operating deficits in the building. Those operating deficits are expected to increase over time as our ability to host events declines. And it's certainly jeopardizing the region's ability to be a destination tourism market. It's also jeopardizing the region's ability to function in the events market overall and offer events to the community that the community does expect and often needs. Next slide, please. So what does a new multi-use event center look like? And we're really trying to use that terminology here. This is not an arena. I mean, it is an arena, but it's beyond an arena, So as I mentioned, it doesn't make economic sense to upgrade the current Memorial Center. We would be looking at somewhere 5,500 to 6,000 seat new venue to meet a modern kind of sweet spot expectation in the market. Obviously a fully equipped event center for hosting obviously on-ice spectator events, but clearly this type of building to be successful, you need to have as wide a range of events as possible, with concerts, theater events, trade shows, flat floor events, conferences, major non-ice performances, of spectator event types, and volume community events like graduations, other things that the community needs a facility of this type for. Next slide, please. So as I mentioned, this is a unique facility in our area of the province. Essentially, the ticket sales for events, and I have more detailed now that we've switched over to Ticketmaster this year. We have a little bit more detail than this slide is about. So very close to 50% of the tickets are city residents. If you look at Pete's and Lakers tickets, about 19% of Pete's and Laker tickets are purchased by persons in the county. Other events, it's at 18% are persons from the county. And then the remaining 35% of tickets are those from beyond the city and the county. And this slide graphic on the right shows the postal codes in the last year of people who have purchased tickets at the Memorial Center. So it is quite a wide range that we're drawing from here to the region. Here. So it is a very important venue for not only the regional residents, but also as a draw for tourism and event attraction, as that graphic shows. Next slide, please. So where's the city at right now? Where's this project at? So the council has approved a downtown location, the existing bus garage site that is intended to be moved to the old Canoe Museum site. And it also has the city's secondary public works site. So that site would be repurposed to this for this new event center. Obviously allow for the downtown to take the opportunities for growth associated with a facility of this type, and also use the opportunity to clean up an existing industrial site in the heart of the city. Next slide, please. This is just a basic site plan of how a facility of this type could fit on that property. Obviously, they're very large buildings. This does show it going out to George Street as well to provide frontage onto George Street as well in certain ways. Next slide. So the kind of the cost thing, this is rather obviously significant. This would be the biggest project in the city's history. We're anticipating that it would be $170 million cost. To put some context around that, the whole city capital budget on an annual basis is $140 million. And that's to maintain all the roads, water, wastewater, parks, recreation facilities. The city's commercial and residential assessment base is going to be hard pressed to fund this type of large scale capital project alone. To be able to do so, the city would need to borrow to its provincially mandated limit of 25% of all revenues. And if that happened, there would be no borrowing capacity for other needed infrastructure capital projects. Next slide, please. So in May, this is the current status of the project. In May, council did make some decisions to move this project forward. Council determined that it was able to fund 1/3 of the cost of this based upon their various financial analysis options towards the event center project. So 57 million. And then, there's obviously various other elements of that approval that you can read there. The third one is obviously one of my purposes for being here today is that staff be directed to initiate proactive advocacy and explore options to acquire the remaining 2/3 of the cost. And of the 114 million, from the federal government, the province of Ontario, county of Peterborough, private sector partners, fundraising, naming rights, sponsorship opportunities, and other non-debt supported sources. So we're obviously starting through that process. We have a number of processes underway to seek out what private sector opportunities there may be to provide some funding to this project. And we certainly have started that advocacy with the federal and provincial governments. And my purpose today here is not a direct financial request to the county at this point in time or anything. It just was an opportunity to make sure the county understood where this project is and expect in the next cycle of council that once this project becomes in a more detailed manner, that there probably will be additional requests back to the county, but that's for a future date here. So I just wanted to make sure, I think that's the end of my slides there. So that's the current status, and I'm certainly happy to answer any questions that you may have, because I know residents may also be wondering where this project is, and if the new one's going to keep going. So thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Laidman, for your presentation. I'll open it up to any questions. Just information. Yes, Councillor Taylor.
Thank you, Board Clerk. Thank you, Sheldon, for the presentation. For the city to come here and request funding assistance for some sort of ventures is really not new. The county has participated in a number of funding initiatives over the years, not necessarily certain city owned, but within the city. And I'm thinking of Fleming College and PRHC's Canoe Museum. There's a number of them. My question though is, I'm a little confused by the long-term plan. The total cost is what was $170 million. It looks like the final version, and as you say, the site plan has it extending all the way out to George Street. So there's a kind of a strip mall, I guess, along there with Smitty's. There's a pet food store. There's beer store. There's the Chamber of Commerce. There's Tim Hortons. So do you envision the city buying up all of that property, raising those buildings, and clearing that to be part of this whole plan? And if so, is that included in the 170 million?
Sure, through you, Madam Warden. Clearly the expectation is for this to be a successful build, it needs to have some frontage on Short Street, just for, for marketing and all and things. I would say the city's going through a process that I wouldn't be able to speak publicly about land acquisition in the area around the arena to make sure it's as successful as possible. One of those being how we can extend frontage onto George Street appropriately. And I apologize for not being able to answer in more detail, but that's obviously.
I understand, and I certainly didn't expect a great deal of detail, but I guess within the budgeting, you're just going to have to set aside a certain amount of money for land acquisition and not knowing exactly how much that's going to be.
Yeah, through you, Madam Warden, that is correct. That's been accommodated within the budget expectations.
170. Thank you.
I think that was the question. Was it within the 170? And you're saying it is.
Yeah. I will say through you, Madam Warden, that this is a large project. We have not gone down to the detailed level of design yet. And as construction costs every year go up, that's our current forecasted cost. These are complicated, large buildings that are costly. So it very well easily could be more than 170 million by the time it's constructed.
Thank you, as they always are. Councillor Black, Councillor Hunter, Councillor Grant.
Thank you, through Warden. Thanks for the presentation, Sheldon. One of the things that, and I'm one of the county folks that buy Pete's tickets and Lakers tickets to support it. But one of the things that I got asked many times over the years while I was working corporately was, could we have our annual meeting in Peterborough? And my answer was always no, because there wasn't a convention center. And to house 300-400 people in different hotels and busing, it just became too complicated to consider it. Was there consideration in including an attached convention center? So again, for the purposes of use of the building, it would have a higher use level, those sorts of things. And is that part of proposals that the city would consider in addition to building the arena?
Yeah, through you, Madam Warden. Definitely, it's expected that this facility be as broad use as possible. And that's certainly one of the considerations on the one slide is how can we have better convention space? Whether it's a traditional type convention center that we might go to AMO at Ottawa or something like that, that may not be possible, but certainly to provide better meeting space, convention facilities, if this project is able to be funded and move to the next step of the design, be working with operators that operate these facilities across North America to determine how optimum we can make the building so that what features it should have in it to make it as successful as possible. One of which is convention facilities for sure. And just how to do that, what the nature of them will be, that'll be the next step of the project for sure.
Thank you.
So Councillor Black, were you specifically asking about accommodation?
More so accommodation associated with this. I mean, it's a fairly tight package right now, and I know there's the Market Plaza south of it that might.
I can Warden, that through you, that part of the private sector aspect of doing that, there is an RFQ process underway to seek out what private development would do in the area if this arena went forward. And that's certainly a consideration and an expectation and a known deficiency in that area.
Good. Thank you. Thank you, Warden.
Councillor Huntley.
Through you, Chair. Thank you. Thank you for the presentation, Sheldon. I guess my question is around, you have talked about it being obviously a large scale project and a very expensive building. There's a lot going on there. And from my understanding, you're talking about building it right over top of the buried portion of Jackson Creek. And as of to date, I don't think there's been any pre-consultation with the Conservation Authority on how you handle that. And that could add some pretty significant costs to your building. Have you taken that into account by chance?
Yeah, through you, Warden. The expectation, obviously, that site plan is at a very gross level, kind of at this point in time. There would be no expectation that we're building the building on top of the creek. At this point, we would actually be removing the buildings that are on top of the creek right now, which is obviously not a modern way to build buildings. And we have taken into account what the floodplain is and all the other environmental impacts. The building can fit on the property without impacting the creek from our initial analysis. There may be some bridging and such to bring it across to George Street through either Townsend or through bridging. And that would be the next level of design. It's a hard project to move forward here. Similar to what you're doing with being proactive on the transportation master plan. We can't move to the next level of detailed design on all those questions until we know there's going to be sufficient funding to even move this project to the next level. So it's kind of a chicken and the egg issue here, but all those things will be considered. But we're confident on a minimum level that we can do so to meet all expectations.
Good luck.
Councillor Graham.
Through you, Warden. Thanks for the presentation, Sheldon. A couple questions just with regards to sort of the process. If I'm not mistaken, this is the first time County Council has been approached with any information about this facility. Is that correct?
So I believe so, yes.
Okay. So one of the things I might make a suggestion, because you just alluded to the fact that the plan's in a bit of an infancy stage or preliminary stages. It seems as though now, or there's an allusion to now, that the city has not engaged with the county meaningfully about any of the design or decision making into any part of this facility whatsoever up to this point. This is the first time we've been made notice of it. But we're already getting to the fact that we're being alluded to a future ask for compensation or a fiscal contribution, probably significant. Might I suggest that as the process moves forward and evolves, that there be more meaningful actual engagement with the other partners, that there's the expectation of funding, there should be expectation of participation. And that if this is a regional facility, maybe there are other needs in the region that should be accommodated and addressed when the facility is in construction, or at least contemplation of construction. Because quite frankly, it's a little distasteful to be asked up front for this fiscal implication for something we've been totally void of the decision or input phase on. So if there are opportunities for any future meaningful engagement, I think that would be something that the city should strongly consider before coming to any illusions of asking for any financial contributions moving forward.
Thank you, Councillor Graham. Any further questions? And yes, Deputy Warden Sennis.
Thank you. Sheldon, what is the plan that the city has with the current memorial center? If this moves forward, what do you plan to do with it?
Through you, Warden, there has been no decision by council at this point in time on the next steps of the memorial center. Certainly, it would not be practical to maintain two arenas of this type, moving forward. But no, council hasn't made any decision on what the future use of it could be, or what the future changes could be to the Memorial Center for a different use. That would be part of next steps if council decides to move forward completely with this new arena.
Okay, and I have a follow-up. With the size of this project, you will need a lot of infrastructure, water and sewer. Has there been any thought to the capacity needed for that? Would that take away from any other future or other possibilities of having infrastructure available to the county?
Through you, Martin. I wouldn't be the right person to answer about all infrastructure at the city, in terms of how it could be extended to the county or such. I can say that analysis of that portion of the city, that this type of project, along with the expected increases in residential builds and such that might come from a redevelopment of this area of the city, can be accommodated within the city's infrastructure capacities. That type of question I'd have to ask others at the city and to get back to you if that was possible.
Thank you.
I see no further questions, so just a motion to receive, please. Councillor Martin and Councillor Webb, all in favor. Thank you. Thank you for coming. All right, we're going to move on to our students, and we have Hallie Ball and Jordan Lemeray, economic development students, and they're going to do the business count project overview for us. We're always happy to have students here. I find that it's a way to lure them into our world here. So anyway, be kind. Go ahead, please.
Hello, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here today. We're really excited to introduce ourselves and introduce to you the Business Count Survey and tell you about how our project is going. So without further ado, and introduce ourselves. Next slide, please. Unfortunately, we cannot be joined today to present with Cynthia Hernandez, but she's a member of our team. She's a second-year master's student in sustainability at Trent University, a proud mother of two and originally from Honduras. My name is Jordan Lemery. I'm a second-year business student at Wilfrid Laurier University. I have a strong passion for entrepreneurship, which is mostly fueled by my hands-on experience operating my own mobile barber service. I've been doing that for 3 years now.
And my name is Hallie Ball. I am a fourth-year business student at Trent University. I have lived and grown up in North Kawartha my whole life, and I also call Otonabee South Monaghan my second home. Next slide, please. The Business Count Survey is an annual initiative that helps Peterborough County better understand the local business community by collecting up-to-date information directly from business owners. The goal is to identify trends, challenges, and opportunities that can help inform future economic development purposes across the county. To collect meaningful and accurate data, we used a variety of outreach methods throughout the Business Count project. These included phone calls, emails, and in-person visits where we met directly with business owners and distributed survey cards. We also conducted follow-ups to encourage participation and ensure businesses had multiple opportunities to respond. Throughout the project, we met weekly with the Community Development Manager to track progress, discuss trends, and identify key themes emerging from the survey results. This approach helped us achieve a strong participation rate and gather valuable insights from businesses across Peterborough County. Next slide, please. The business count was carried out over a 12-week period with each municipality visited individually. We began in North Kawartha during May and then moved throughout Durrow-Dummer, Trent Lakes, Havelock Belmont Methuen, Asphodel Norwood, Cavan Monaghan Township, Otonabee South Monaghan Township, and finally Selwyn. At the time of creating this presentation, we had not yet started on Selwyn Township, but we were able to have a meaningful outreach and get our survey numbers higher, which you will see reflected in the final report. Next slide, please.
Okay, thank you. So the Business Count Survey had three major goals. First of all, we wanted to validate and update our current business database. So since it is the first year that the county is doing a Business Count Survey like this, we did have an existing database, but there's a lot of information missing and businesses missing. So as we went doing surveys, we used business directories, Google Maps, and in-person surveying to identify new businesses, as well as updating our database, making sure we have up-to-date contact information and other information for that matter on businesses we already were aware of. The second goal is to conduct the survey to gather data on key indicators. So gathering data on workforce trends, business challenges, and business expansion helps us gain a snapshot of this year's local economy and will help us make more informed decisions in the future. Our third goal is to create the final report, which we are starting now, present the aggregate data for each township without focusing on any specific businesses. It'll give more of a overall snapshot of each township and it'll be ready in Q4 of this year. Next slide. So just for an overview of the survey questions, what is asked, we begin with general information. So this would be like the name of the business, type of business, year they were established, the type of space they operate out of, and also contact information. So we can establish a touch point with businesses. Next, we ask about workforce. So that would be like the number of employees, full-time, part-time, seasonal. It'd also be the hiring plans for the next year, whether they're hiring full-time, part-time, or seasonal employees. But also if there's any challenges retaining staff or hiring staff for that matter, and what those challenges would be. Next, we ask about other challenges. We have a list of major challenges we'd like to monitor, but we also have an other option in case there's anything else that comes to mind when surveying. And lastly, we have expansion and opportunities. So we'd like to know about the expansion plans within the next 12 months for businesses, if they're expanding or not, and what that expansion would look like, as well as other opportunities and highlights that they would like us to know about. Could be as simple as maybe they're celebrating a big anniversary, or they landed a big new client, or exciting new hire. As well, our final question is asking about interest in workshops and events that the county could offer, trying to gauge what businesses could benefit from the most. Thank you.
Next slide, please. As of July 17th, we have verified over 760 businesses across municipalities that have been completed so far, and we have received 378 completed surveys. Overall, approximately 49% of verified businesses have participated in this survey, which is a strong response rate for a project of this scale. Participation rates were consistent across municipalities, ranging from 43% to 55%, with Otonabee South Monaghan having the highest completion rate. Cavan Monaghan recorded the greatest number of completed surveys, followed by North Kawartha and Otonabee South Monaghan. These results have provided us a strong foundation for identifying trends and business needs across the county. Next slide, please.
Here's the industry breakdown of completed surveys. You can see we have reached a wide variety of businesses in different industries. With that we tried to give as many industries as much representation as possible. With that being said, we have 19% of surveys completed in retail, 15% in construction and trades, and 10% in food and drink. It's also important to note that this graph represents the 383 surveys completed at the time of making the presentation as of July 17th. But as of today, we have over 530 surveys completed, so we could see some shift as well. Next slide, please.
One of the most important questions in the survey focused on challenges businesses are currently facing. The most common challenge identified was cost pressures and inflation, with 153 responses. Businesses continue to report rising costs for supplies, operations, and labor. The second largest category was the other response option, which received 128 responses. Many businesses use this section to highlight concerns around marketing, attracting new customers, weather-related impacts, and rising fuel costs that affect both operations and customer travel patterns. Economic uncertainty was also a major concern reported by 118 businesses. Insurance costs, regulatory burdens, internet and cell coverage, utilities, and recycling changes were also frequently mentioned. These findings show that while the businesses face a variety of challenges, rising costs and economic uncertainty continue to be the most significant concern across the region. Next slide, please.
We really wanted to highlight workforce trends, as this is a very important aspect of looking at the local economy. We can see that 25% of businesses are in fact having trouble hiring, while 45% are not, and 30% are not hiring. You can see out of the 25% that are having trouble hiring, the largest or most frequently reported challenge has been lack of skills and qualifications. This can be really common for the high skilled trades or other high skill roles. But sometimes can be as simple as a business is having difficulty finding someone willing to do hard manual labor or has the customer service skills to support a certain role. But we can see also that some of the most frequent skills and positions that are been difficult to recruit for have been licensed mechanics, office administration, and even culinary skills. You can see that the second most frequently reported challenge has been transportation. This can be really common for especially for entry-level positions, as these jobs attract applicants who often don't have their own vehicle to get to work. So increased transportation could really increase the applicants for those positions. Similarly, housing, sometimes we hear from businesses that they'd love to hire somebody who lives in the immediate area of the business, but sometimes the housing options aren't available for some of those entry-level employees. And the most common thing we'd hear for wage and benefits usually is that a company or a business would love to hire on some extra help, another employee, but they just don't have the financial resources to offer competitive wage. Or sometimes you even hear we can't offer even minimum wage, so we simply cannot hire another employee. Next slide, please. We really wanted to highlight accommodations and tourism. These are two major, very significant industries in the county of Peterborough, but the reality is they have had a relatively tougher year, some of them. We wanted to highlight this quote. There's a lot of uncertainty. This year is different. We are not as busy, a lot more cancellations. I want to use this quote just to highlight the general sense of economic uncertainty that some of these businesses have reported feeling. Next, accommodation businesses have had a tough time in the shoulder seasons. Well, this isn't a new issue or a new challenge. This has been amplified by the general economic uncertainty, and even there's been reported that the weather has been a significant factor as well, with it being a very tough winter and unpredictable weather this summer. It can make it more challenging for some businesses to survive that shoulder season, even though they anticipate for it. Next, they've been feeling pressure from competition from short-term rental platforms such as Airbnb. This has been an emerging challenge in the past few years, especially. Also, tourism businesses are still feeling the effects of COVID, which might be a little bit surprising because it's been a few years. We've maybe felt that we moved on from COVID, but there's still been a challenge to reestablish old clients who they could count on coming back every year. So it's really been a focus from some of these businesses to reestablish those repeat customers who they can count on coming back and get that consistent revenue.
Another industry we wanted to highlight is construction and trades, as this sector represented one of the largest groups of survey respondents, making their feedback especially valuable. One business owner summed up a common concern by saying, everything has gone up. We are still stuck with the same prices we have been charging since 2010. People don't want to pay any more than that set amount. This reflects what we heard from many businesses across the sector as rising costs continue to put a pressure on profitability. In addition, businesses reported ongoing shortages of skilled workers, particularly mechanics and welders and carpenters. Respondents also noted a slowdown in home construction, creating uncertainty within the industry. Transportation and housing challenges were also frequently identified to attracting and retaining employees. Overall, workforce shortages and rising costs remain the key challenges facing the construction and trade sector. Next slide, please. Although we've highlighted several challenges today, the overall picture has some positive highlights from businesses. Many businesses have told us that they are planning to expand their locations, grow operations, and hire more employees in the coming years. This optimism and willingness to invest in growth is an encouraging sign for the future of Peterborough County's business community. We hope you enjoyed getting a head start on the data we've collected, and we will give a much more in-depth representation of the data in the final report coming soon. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Hallie and Jordan, for your presentation. Questions for? Yes, go ahead, Brian, and then followed by Councillor Black, Councillor Hudson.
Through you, Chair, and thank you very much for your presentation. It was excellent. A lot of work has gone into it. And so my question is around sharing that data with the different townships' economic development departments. I mean, I think most of them already have business directories that they maintain. I'm just curious, like, are you reconciling against that? Did you start with that? Are you sharing back for them to use that information? There's a lot of great information you guys have collected. Just should fall into the right hands when you're done.
Thank you. I can jump in through you, Warden. Yes, absolutely. We started with township data and we are building on that. As you know, businesses are coming and going, and so there is always changes. And so this is the most up to date, and we do endeavor to share that information with the townships. We do ask the businesses whether they approve us sharing the information, and if they say yes, we do share it. If they say they do not want the information shared, we would hold it back.
Councillor Black, Councillor Tess.
Thank you, through Warden. Thanks for the presentation, Haley and Jordan. You did mention earlier that you weren't finished with the Selwyn Township numbers. Do you have raw numbers for number of businesses and surveys at this point?
Through you, Warden. As of today, we have over 130 surveys completed in Selwyn Township, and we're still working on Selwyn. We're still yet to visit Ennismore, so we expect more surveys coming in, and we are doing more follow-up as well. We do expect more surveys to come in from every township, actually, as we are going to be following up with more businesses.
Follow up, yeah. The data from Selwyn is always a little bit different than the rest of the county because of the contiguous border with the city and the number of businesses that are on the edge of Selwyn that contribute to the overall economics. So will you be updating your full report once you've received all of the additional data?
Through you, Warden. So we are actually just starting the final report, and all townships will be fully included in the final report equally.
Okay, thank you.
So County Council will be receiving that, so we'll have the complete overview. Councillor Taylor and then Councillor Granville.
Thank you, Warden Clark. Thank you, Jordan and Hallie, for the presentation. It's interesting information. I have two questions. The first relates to page slide 6, and you talked about regulatory and administrative burdens on as one of the challenges businesses are facing. Did they specifically mention property tax as an administrative burden?
Through you, Warden, we haven't really heard much about property taxes. It's more around red tape and when they're looking to expand and stuff like that. All of the surveys that they have to get done and kind of things like that.
Good, thank you. The follow-up question is, and I understand there's a final report coming back. Right now, this is information and it's interesting, But what's more valuable is if there's some sort of recommendations that can come from this as to what assistance the county of Peterborough might provide to a lot of these businesses that are facing many of these challenges. So if you could include that, if there's comments come back from the small business owners, any business owner saying, this is what we'd like the county to do that would help us. It doesn't necessarily mean they're going to get that, but it's nice to know, it's nice for us to know what they're asking for.
Yeah, through you, Warden. Yeah, so we have heard a lot from businesses telling us the things they want to see. We're in talks with economic development to see how we can go about that, what the best way would be, but we will also let them handle that because we're just summer students. Unfortunately.
No, you're a good politician. Should like that. All right. Okay, Councillor Grant. Oh,
Through you, Warden.
Yeah.
I see Councillor Bird after me, sorry. Through you, question probably for Rhonda. Rhonda, we've been around this sort of project a little bit of a while, and what I think concerns me, and I think we've talked about this in the past, is the reflection of the agricultural sector. Because every farm is in essence a business, but I know we're trying to stay on certain paths from an information standpoint. But is there maybe, and obviously June, July are pretty busy times for those individuals to be responding to surveys at the best of times. And if we think private sector paperwork is bad, agricultural paperwork can be just as bad, if not worse. So I guess my concern is there maybe a way that we can better reflect the accurate agricultural sort of prevalence in the county when it comes to the count survey by utilizing things like, roll numbers, et cetera, whether or not it's participation wise into the actual data and that can be reflected, but just from a quantification and an acknowledgement standpoint, I think it's really important. And we do a lot of things in the county and in the various townships to support the ag sector. And it's just not going to be something that's going to be an easy input to gather through this channel. But I think it's really important that when we're doing this sort of economic development work, that we at least make an endeavor to as accurately, quantify that contribution and that prevalence in the county as possible. So maybe you can speak to that. Thank you.
Certainly. Thank you for that question through you, Warden. Excellent question. We know how important agriculture is. Unfortunately, when the students are available, it is the worst time for both tourism operators and ag producers. And so we are aware of that. There has been some uptake with some producers actually participating in this, which we didn't think would happen. I know in a previous role, we certainly did have a separate agriculture count survey that we did in the wintertime on the advice and feedback from the ag sector. And so that is something that we may want to consider for the 2027 work plan on how we actually get that information to you.
Councillor Burt.
Thank you very much through you, Warden. Yeah, actually, that was one of the questions I was going to ask when I saw the data from the ag. We know that is much higher, so I'm glad Matt asked that question as well. So my second question. What is the actual closing date for these surveys to be done? Because I noticed the county's pushing the survey on social media again this morning. And do we have a hard date of closing for the surveys to be done? And if so, perhaps we could push that out to the lower tiers as well, so they could put that on their social media channels so we can get as much accurate data as possible. So thank you.
Try to take that question. So thank you. So through the chair, we have planned to be in each of the townships throughout May, June, and July, with August being continuous follow-up and input. So we will take it for the next couple of weeks, hoping that we are going to have as many surveys as possible. But at some point, we do have to cut it off in mid-August so that we can compile that final report so that the students can wrap up and finalize at the end of August.
All right, I see no further questions. So just a motion to receive. I'll look online. I haven't got, yes, Councillor Whalen, second Councillor Burt, all in favor. Thank you. All right, and our next presentation from Kylie Forsyth and Dana Liebig and Ava Maher and Atticus Sigma tourism and communications students. So welcome to the podium.
Thank you. Good morning, Warden and Council members. My name is Atticus Sigma, and I'm a returning student in the Tourism and Communications Department. The colleagues with me here today are Kylie Forsyth and Ava Moher, and our fourth team member, Dana Liebig, wasn't able to be here today. Next slide, please. So out of the 7 students, the 2 that you've seen have focused on economic development through a business directory with all manner of local businesses. Our particular focus is tourism operators and visitors and how to connect the two through effective marketing. Our hope is to foster a lasting relationship with the region rather than only static memories.
Next slide. This year's mobile visitor services is a shift from the traditional stationary visitor center model, which allows us to meet visitors where they already are. We have been attending and will continue to attend local attractions, events, and businesses to provide visitors with high-quality customer service, including tourism resources and recommendations. During our visits to tourism businesses and experience providers, we deliver resources such as visitor maps and regional promotional materials while providing support to set up business profiles and uploading events to the events calendar on the Kawarthas website. Our regular interactions with our local businesses, attractions, and events help us better understand, support, and market them, and it continues to cement us as the regional tourism experts, so we can share recommendations tailored to each visitor. Next slide, please. Next slide again, please. Our goals for the mobile visitor services is to make exploring the Kawarthas easy, welcoming, and accessible by connecting visitors with helpful information wherever they are in the region. Through face-to-face interactions, our social media, and tools like the Traveler Persona Quiz, we help visitors discover experiences that match their interests while motivating them to explore more of the Kawarthas. By maintaining a visible and recognizable mobile visitor service through our branded uniforms, parking the van so it is visible to the public, and interacting with residents and visitors, we help inspire longer stays and encourage visitors to discover more of what the Kawarthas has to offer. We continue strengthening the Kawarthas brand by working closely with local businesses, attractions, and experience providers where they feel connected, valued, and proud to be part of the Kawarthas. Next slide, please. When we're out on the road, you can expect to see our friendly faces, connecting with visitors, and sharing personalized recommendations based on their interests and travel plans. You'll also find us roaming festivals and events, engaging with vendors, visitors, local businesses, organizers, and residents. We easily get over 10,000 steps when we're out at events. For visitors who want even more tailored recommendations, they can take our Travel Persona Quiz to discover how they travel in the Kawarthas and get the corresponding swag. Next slide, please. Here's our van at the Lakefield Farmers Market. Next slide, please. One of the things that makes the Kawarthas such a special tourism destination is the 8 townships that it's made of. While they're all part of the same incredible region, each township brings its own experiences, personality, and stories. Together, they are naturally unforgettable and forever a part of our story. During our first few weeks on the road, we made it a priority to visit all 8 township offices to introduce ourselves, tell them what mobile visitor services is all about, and drop off some visitor maps. It was a great way to begin building relationships with the people and places that help shape the Kawarthas. Each stop showed us that while each township offers something different, each one is connected by a shared sense of pride and being a part of the Kawarthas. And now we're excited to share the stories that we've gathered this summer with all of you, beginning with Asphodel Norwood. Next slide, please. Vintage Inspired in Asphodel Norwood was one of the first businesses that we visited, and Cheryl had actually reached out to our team asking for us to come out to help her set up a marketing profile on our tourism website, and we've been back to visit her a few times since. We also visited Serenity Lane Animal Sanctuary, which gives a home to animals that need it most. Meeting all of the animals was an amazing experience, and we were also able to help them set up a marketing profile on our website as well, so more visitors can experience the amazing work that they do. Next slide, please. One of the first events that we attended was Millbrook Fair, where we had the opportunity to connect with visitors of all ages while building relationships with local businesses, owners, and operators. It was a great example of how events bring people together and create memorable experiences for visitors. If you're like me, some of you may be wondering why there is a picture of a huge Buddha statue on this slide. I grew up here, I lived here my entire life, and I had no idea that Kavimonaghan is home to the single largest Buddhist complex outside of China, as well as the Buddhist College of Canada. I'm honestly not sure how I missed it, considering how massive and beautiful it is. But just a few weeks ago, I had the opportunity to go out there, us and economic development, to connect with them, to get in contact, and also get them up on our marketing, on our website, get a marketing profile up, so more people can discover this incredible attraction. Kavimonaghan really does have it all right here. Next slide, please. Durabummer is home Dummer offers so much from alpaca walks to caves to cottages. It's home to Lake Edge Cottages, known for its award-winning sustainability and being pet-friendly. It's also home to Warsaw Caves, which is such a cool and unique conservation area with lots of trails, kettles, and of course, the incredible cave systems. Next slide, please. HBM is the eastern gateway to the county that has a high-end feel while also maintaining the authentic cottage experience. Wildflower Bakery makes European-style pastries and organic breads that we can say from our experience taste delicious. Not only is the Trace at Oak Lake a gorgeous waterfront resort, but it also has that high-end feel, offering saunas, lakeside yoga, cold plunges, and a gym for its guests. Next slide, please. North Kawartha offers so many winter experiences, including Kawartha Nordic Ski and Wally's Place Pub, to name a couple. Romana's Boutique offers such a unique shopping experience here in the Kawarthas and is reaching international audiences, which can be seen with their bikini line called Bikinis by Bridget, just taking the international runway at Miami Swim Week. Next slide, please. Tonabee South Monaghan is a true four-season destination with attractions and experiences that draw visitors year-round. The agritourism sector is a major strength for them. Elmhurst Resort is an anchor property which encourages visitors to explore the region and stay longer, while local favorites like Meddy's Pit Barbecue add to the area's authentic rustic appeal. Next slide, please. Selwyn hosts so many fantastic festivals, including the Polar Fest in the winter, the Lakefield Literary Festival in the summer, and many more that we had the opportunity to attend this year. We also visited McLean's Berry Farm to promote the opening of their Pick Your Own strawberries. Next slide, please. Trent Lakes is home to one of the busiest locks on the Trent Severn. Just steps from the lock is Buckhorn's charming Main Street, where almost everything is dockside, making it a great stop for boaters. Shambhala Bed and Breakfast is honestly hard for me to describe because it's so unique. I mean, how do you describe someone that has bears, Buddhas, and baked goods all in one place? Next slide, please. Lang Pioneer Village Museum welcomes approximately 23,000 visitors per year, making it one of the Kawartha's major tourism assets. Part of our goals with mobile visitor services are to be where the visitors are, and Lang is the place for us to be. Next slide, please. Being on the road also gives us an opportunity to help businesses set up a marketing profile on our tourism website. I know we've had a big agenda today, so I'm just going to list a few that we've added to the website since June 1st. Asphodel Norwood held their business advisory committee that we were able to attend, and since then we've seen an increase in businesses submitting their marketing profiles from Asphodel Norwood, such as the Cake House, which really shows that Asphodel Norwood truly is a growing success. We've added Great Outdoors Landing in Selwyn, the Little Frozen Yogurt Company, and the Little Mini Golf Company in Duro Dummer. Next slide, please. Dust to Dawn Brewing Company and Cabin Monaghan, River of Yarn and OSM, Chantilly's Place and North Kawartha, and Belly's Lakeside Bar in Trent Lakes. Next slide, please. A look at mobile visitor services since June 1st. So we visited 150 tourism locations throughout the Kawarthas. We've added 22 new businesses to the Kawarthas website. And we've had 106 events uploaded to our events calendar. These are some fantastic results that highlight the success of mobile visitor services so far.
So as the summer seasons progressed, we've really been able to see how our van, Nando, has provided us with the opportunity to meet guests where they are. And this has allowed us to give recommendations based not only on the traveler personas, but also things that we already know that they like to do as we're seeing them do them. This all works to encourage longer stays and a stronger connection to our region. So far, if you've been out and about, you might have caught us at some events and the community hub, that are on screen. Next slide. And as the summer season continues, we're going to continue to be out and exploring your backyard at these events. And then the Find Us link on this slide is also going to show our full schedule, should you wish to continue following along. Slide. So farmers markets have proven particularly successful for us. We've met and introduced locals to new and interesting things, but have also gotten the chance to chat with cottagers from further away. So think Toronto, Ottawa, we get a bunch from Ohio as well. All about attractions or day trips they might want to see or do before they leave or for when they return again. So we've also worked with our friends in GIS to create an app that identifies where visitors are coming from, allowing us to understand visually where our region is connecting with provincially, nationally, and even abroad, which means that we're seeing places such as Toronto, Alberta, Ireland, the Netherlands, and the UK. Next slide, please. So simply the opportunity to be out and about at different places has allowed us to provide recommendations in a far more natural way. For a quick example, at Dudu's, we connected with a couple over the Stratford Festival and got them excited about our own Fourth Line Theatre. So we reminisced favorite memories and moments alongside Diane, who's the owner, and it worked because authenticity is contagious.
Please. Another great perk of being on the road is the ability to capture the natural beauty of this region and all that it has to offer. So these are the 3 Instagram reels that we've created this summer, and there's lots more to come. Next slide, please. We've also been using social media to let people know where they can find us the following days. We post stories that look like this on the left, and then we also make posts about where we'll be on Saturday. And this, of course, stories where we're live on location as well. Next slide, please. This is the link that Atticus talked about before, and this is just the schedule that shows up online. Next slide, please. So the 3 reels that we have posted have a combined 67,452 views. From just those reels alone, we've gained 501 followers on Instagram. And on July 10th, we hit 10,000 followers on Instagram. And now just a few weeks later, we have 10,600 followers. These milestones show just how quickly our audience is growing and how many people are inspiring to discover the Kawarthas. Seeing this kind of growth in such a short period of time has been really exciting for us, and we can't wait to see what the rest of the season brings.
This year, we've been really working to increase community activation through our Traveler Persona quiz. So Elmhurst Resort has served as sort of a hub for this, where kids and teens are getting excited about what kind of animal they might be, and all their families are doing the quiz together, and then the parents are then able to find the places that speak to what everyone wants to do while they're in the area. So the quiz also proves to be a really helpful tool internally. When we're out and about, we're going to do so in these shirts that we're wearing, and they've got the animals on the back and the QR codes on the shoulder. And so we can loop this into conversations that we're already having with guests. And this is therefore going to allow us to categorize trip plans based on travel values, preferred environments, and vacation behavior. And then as such, the recommendations we're making become far more effective. So as a good example of this, we were at Muddy's Pit Barbecue out in OSM, and we ended up chatting with a man and a woman who'd grown up around the area. They dated in high school, actually, and just recently reconnected. So the woman was living nearby, but the man had driven in from Toronto. And as they were waiting for food, we mentioned the quiz, and they took it curiously. The sentiment there was they were looking to continue rediscovering the area and each other together, but they didn't really know where to start. So we discovered their quiz results, him being the bear and her being a fox. And that was a really good point to jump off of. Yes, but based on the bios, we're immediately able to see what helped the other person connect with the travel destination. And then using our website recommendations, they could see which places in the region were of interest for the two of them. And funny enough, Muddy's Pit was already a location that crossed the two over. They also learned about places such as Canoe and Paddle and then the Main Intent. As a returning student, I can really say that this is the sort of thing that we couldn't have done last year in the static location. Being on the road, which is also in alignment with the current provincial visitor service model, and with the tool of the Traveler Quiz, which is also just something fun to do and share and compare with your friends and your kids and your family, it puts us within the visitor experience. It allows us to share in it, and the better connection that we can make with them, the better the relationships that they can cultivate with this beautiful place that we get to call home. Next slide, please. So I think I'll just leave you with this. When you love something, you share it. And that's why it's been such a pleasure to do this job. This is the greatest place in the world, and there's only one of us, and we hope to see you out on the road.
Thank you. So little did I know that Otonabee South Monaghan was the romance capital of counties. The survey, County Council, if you haven't done it, do it and find out what kind of a traveler you are. It's a lot of fun. So, okay, opening it up for questions, Councillor Graham.
Through you, Warren, not a question. I just wanted to thank the efforts of both groups of young people. It's such a, we get caught up in a lot of the weeds when it comes to a lot of bureaucratic and the slow turning wheels of government, but it's very nice to have some energetic and influence, and also providing us with really important critical raw data to inform some of the decisions we're making when it comes to economic development as we continue to try to better the region and health. So it really is a heartfelt thank you for the passion, for the effort, and the enjoyment and positivity about the region that all of your collective stories tell. So we just want a heartfelt appreciation for all that.
Thank you. It's a really easy region to be curious about.
Councillor Armstrong, and then I have Councillor Mark. Yeah, thank you, Warden Clark. I was given the length of our agenda, I had suggested that we move these two presentations to consent agenda, given the time. But I am really grateful. Suggestion was not picked up. This is a terrific presentation, and I echo all the things that Councillor Graham said. The one thing I did want to say, we have a welcome center in Trent Lakes, which I'm sure you're very familiar with. And they are always begging for maps to give out to visitors when they the most frequent requests that they get, and they keep asking the township, and we don't have any.
And so I'm very much hoping that any resources that come out of your project can be shared with them so that, you know, the 9,000 people that stop in that welcome center every year have the opportunity to pick up some of the things that will come out of your work. So thank you for that.
Through you, Warden. Absolutely. Yeah, we have maps and resources that we've been bringing out to some of the townships. We've seen a lot of demand. So as long as we are continued to be notified about what the need is, we will absolutely be there and bring the maps. We're here for the tourists. We're here for people just wanting to explore what all there is to offer. So.
Yeah. Councillor Martin.
Thank you. And through you, yeah, the Economic Development Committee was lucky enough to meet the group, I think it was back in June. And like Councillor Graham said, I left that meeting, like, it's so nice to hear all the good things and see your energy. And it was just a great day just to hear your presentation. I'm glad County Council got to hear it too. So thank you very much for what you did.
Thank you again.
Would you like to move to receive that? Yes. Oh, yes, sorry. I'll get you to second it once.
I absolutely will. Thank you, Warden. Through you, just a question that's not touched in the report from the mobile visitor services, and I echo all the comments, of course, that my colleagues have stated. This was a new initiative for the county to have the mobile visitor services. And Atticus, I believe you were around last summer when we had the office. Mm-hmm. Can you loosely comment on the experience, you know, as we're starting to think about our decisions for tourism beyond this season, whether or not the mobile visitor unit would be more of an asset to visitors in our community and to the businesses, or having a fixed model, reverting back to that would be something regardless of the location?
Through you, Warden. I think aside from the fact that we are more aligned with the provincial standard, just me having done both, I could see that there was, at the Lakefield office, we were getting, I guess, more one type of person that would come in and they'd want to get information. And so we'd only be able to provide like a certain amount of information, but on the road, we really get to see everyone who's coming in. We get a really comprehensive picture of who, like the type of people that are coming and exploring our county. And that's also going to be seen through our tool with GIS. Like we're getting, like, I mean, I said places such as Netherlands, Ireland, UK, and just being out, we're able to talk to these people at locks, at businesses, just about what they're finding, what they're appreciating, what's bringing them back, what's bringing them here in the first place. And so it's an incredibly effective tool just to get people, or to get like a conversation with people about why they're coming here.
Thank you. I'll second that motion.
All in favor? Thank you. And a round of applause for all the students. All right, moving on to consent items. We've received a few requests. So under the consent items 8A, we've been asked to pull that. 8H. And items under correspondence 13, 14, 22, and 26. So are there any further asks on that? Okay, and Councillor Graham will ask you to speak on item 8A, please.
Sure, and thank you, and through you, Ward. Yeah, I just asked this to be pulled. I had a few conversations with colleague and Mr. Sakosha this morning. Just with regards to the surplus allocation or the surplus disposition comment, I would just ask that we defer the accordance, or sorry, the receiving of this report with regards to the allocation until we get a report back from staff about the cross culvert program. It's something that we're funding to the tune of about $1.2 million a year, and I just think that it's never been something I really understand as to how much we're doing, what obstacles are there, and to be just simply allocating $1 million of surplus. You know, I'd like to get an understanding as to why is that a surplus, because we were able to accommodate the entire capital works under alternative sources of funding, or, you know, or we only got $200,000 worth of work done and there's $1 million left over that's just not getting utilized. Like, that wasn't explained in the report. And it's something that I think if we're going to be funding to that extent, and we know that there's so many culverts throughout the county, that's a big issue that we're trying to scale up. I think it's important that we all understand exactly, you know, the challenges facing this sort of program. So I'd ask for a deferral for the for that specific disposition report until we're able to get a report. And it seems as though that's not too onerous a project in my conversations with Mr. Sakosha. So that's my comment.
Councillor Graham, I'm going to refer to our CAO Sheridan.
Thank you, and through you. I don't think that report makes it necessary to defer the whole report, because we can commit through direction of council to bring back a report on the cross culvert. We have a policy FY 19 that directs how the surplus is done, and it won't affect the 2025 surplus. It's just effectively, we can add to the motion that staff be directed to bring back a report with a fulsome report with respect to the cross culvert program.
Yeah, I asked for the deferral because I'm not sure I could support the $1 million surplus distribution into a reserve without an understanding and explanation as to how we've come to $1 million surplus from one specific program.
Through you, we have to put it into the reserve regardless, because it's surplus from a previous year. There would be no other direction we have a policy that dictates that. You can't hold it in advance, essentially.
Yeah, with regards to that comment, my issue is I don't have the confidence in the report that it is a surplus, because there's no explanation as to what works have been done with regards to the cross culvert program. Like if we're levying $1.2 million for a cross culvert program, and that's our expected annual exchange, have we conducted all of that work for only $200,000? Otherwise, it would theoretically be a rollover for other works that weren't completed. So that's why I'm kind of struggling, why I think a report could simply clarify that, but it would affect my ability to support a motion to make a surplus, to endorse a surplus allocation to a reserve without an understanding of, is it actually a surplus, or is it being considered that because of some alternative sources of funding that have offset the rest of the capital program, or otherwise, and I just don't know. So that's why I'm hesitant to say it's separate, because we're making a significant fiduciary decision without kind of an explanation. There's not a sentence in there that sort of explains exactly what happened with the culvert program. And so I have inhibitions about the fact that it is a surplus or not.
So Councillor Graham, I think you're questioning whether this is a true surplus. Maybe I could ask Michelle to speak to that. I think that's the first clarification.
Through you, Gordon, just for a clarification of the actual budget versus the actuals. So it says the budget was 1.7 million and we spent 700,000. So the budget for 2025, it was $1.2 million. We had a carry forward of 500,000 from 2024. So that is why we have the $1 million deficit or surplus, sorry, because we're not actually carrying forward any into 2026. I'm not sure if that has helped clarify anything at all, but that is, so our actual budget for 2025 is 1.2. We had carry forward, that made it 1.7, and we spent 700,000. And there's explanations as to why we thought we were going to be spending 1.7, but we only spent 700,000. And I'm not sure if you want Doug to.
I think Doug is going to step up.
Okay, thank you.
And I see Jim.
Yeah, through you, Warren, I can add some context to the cross culvert capital program. So as Michelle said, we spent 700,000 of the 1.7. When staff did our cost estimate in 2025, it was in a year where tariffs had just got introduced and there were steel tariffs. And so through our estimating, we were conservative in numbers. But what I can also say is through our competitive bid process, the range we got was not a typical estimate. So the low bid of almost $700,000, the next lowest bid was over $1 million, and the highest bid was close to $1.3 million. So when you see that spectrum, really the competitive bid combined with the staff estimate through tariffs is really what led to it. And what I can further say is in 2026, we used a similar estimating model. We just closed that tender. We didn't have the same low bidder, I should say. And we did close right at $1.2 million up to 1.6. So this year, that budget allocation of an estimate is right where it should be. So those are really the reasons why we led to it. But from a surplus perspective, it's not being carried forward. So it is considered surplus.
Okay. All right. Councillor Graham, that's certainly.
I'm going to be making the motion. Like I'm with all due respect, I appreciate the feedback.
So you make the motion to
Correct.
refer. Okay, could I have a seconder for that? Seconder is Counselor Huntley. Okay, and oh, yes, Jim, would you speak to the motion, Jim?
So I asked for it to be pulled too, Warden, so.
Okay, I was,
I have a completely different, slant on this, okay?
okay. So, I will, sorry, Counselor Martin.
Regards to the motion, is it time sensitive, like to defer it and just to understand it a little better on I think like you're saying, it's from last year's budget, so it has to go somewhere. We're not but that being said, if we need a little more explanation to put it off to the next meeting, just to make sure we're getting, like, it's fine to talk about it here, but something to read and kind of absorb. Would it matter if it was put off to the next meeting? Like when you're saying.
Well, I guess the vote will tell us whether it is or isn't. I don't think the explanation will be anything different. Counselor Taylor.
So thank you, Warden Clark. And speaking to the motion,
Yeah,
is it the the intention of the mover and the seconder to defer the entire report or just the $1 million cross culvert section of it? In other words, the report could be approved, but remove that one particular item and wait for is that what we're voting on?
For clarification.
Yeah, I think that would be a friendly amendment. I don't think there's any time, and I asked the clerk with regards to time sensitivity, and I was told there is none. So like I said, this is just this is an administrative move of funds. You know, we're just asking for a report. I would ask that the report talk about, you know, the historical significance that's been alluded to here and maybe a bit of a forecast so that we can understand what the expectation, because, you know, we've alluded to alternative sources of funding, but when I compared 2025 capital budget to 2026, I didn't see any rollover or any other sources of funding. I saw levying 1.2 million. So this is the explanation that I think requires a report, just to sort of provide clarity. I understand there's tariffs, you know, aluminum has all it has, and so we look for that.
Okay, so I'm going to refer to Sheridan first, but there will be an amendment just to pull the 1 million.
Through you, the time sensitivity was really the approval of the financial statements so that we could submit our FIR to the province. And so we can bring back a report with regard to this. This financial statements did also include the surplus, but we can bring back a report with this in this regard. Council wants that.
What's the impact of the FIR not being?
Through you, we can submit the FIR because the financial statements were approved.
So we're okay. Yeah. Okay. Thank you for that clarification. Yes, Councillor Black, and speaking amended motion, I'm looking to the mover that Councillor Graham, you're fine with that? Sure. Councillor Huntley, thank you.
Yeah, through Warden, just again, clarification, because we've passed the audit of the financial statements, that transfer has happened? Technically?
No, technically, we've just approved the audited financial statements that we require to complete the FIR.
Okay.
We wouldn't do a transfer until approved by council.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so I'll call the vote then. All in favor? It is lost. All right, we will move on then. Yeah, okay, so now a motion then to for 8A to support that. So looking for that motion, Councillor Armstrong, and seconder.
I would make that motion, but I would like to add that we also
have the report,
a report explaining the frost.
The motion with the report and second by Councillor Black. All in favor? Thank you. Okay, now we will move to and Councillor Armstrong speak to items 8H. Already.
Thank you very much, Warden. I asked that this be pulled only because I certainly agree with the work that's been done and the recommendation regarding our council representation. I did think it would be appropriate to add, however, that the nominating committee also review the committees that we currently do have. And as part of their process, they ensure that they all really do add value, that they do provide outputs and impact, and that the frequency and numbers of representation on them are reasonable given importance of the committees.
Okay. All right, that's fair enough. So amendment to 13, that we add that, reviewing the number of committees and certainly the effectiveness of them. So I'll ask for a motion. You're moving.
I'll make that motion with
And a
that
seconder.
Yep.
Councillor Webb, all in favor? All right, that is moved. And then speaking to 13 under correspondence.
Is that me again?
Yes. I'm going for 14.
This was the resolution regarding the Ontario Land Tribunal. And the request was that we ask that they give greater deference to the municipal planning decisions. I think we've all had things overturned at OLT that really disregarded a lot of the work and the evidence that had been provided to support our decisions. And so all this is doing is asking that greater deference be given to the municipal decisions and the rationale behind. I think it's kind of like spitting in the wind to request that, but it's a reasonable request.
Support. So move to support and second for that, Councillor Lansett. All in favor? Thank you. Then I will ask that 14, which is funding related to the increase in ticks. I was at a source protection meeting and had a presentation by the health unit. And this is just the reported certainly frequency, and that has gone up significantly and is going to become more and more a problem as our climate warms. 22 is the property tax. We have asked for this to be looked at. It hasn't been since 2016. And the other one was the OSIF funding, that certainly be increased and be consistent and permanent. So I'll just ask for those all to be supported. I think they're asked. Councillor Wilford and Councillor Black, all in favor. Thank you. Okay, can I have a motion now to receive the remaining correspondence? I'll look online to my Councillor Burt and Councillor Whelan, all in favor. Thank you. And a motion to for the remaining consent items, and looking down in front here, Councillor Watson and looking at Councillor Huntley, all in favor. Thank you. All right, what time are we? So I am looking, we are going to go into closed in 10 minutes. Do we have time for, pardon? Okay. Okay, under the gun. Thank you. So general information, this is regarding AI. So
yes, so we belong to an offshoot of the Eastern Ontario Wardens caucus that is called the EOITC, the Eastern Ontario IT Coalition. And they worked with a consulting group to put together a municipal framework for AI use with staff. The reality is 75% of staff are using AI as a tool right now. 7% of municipalities have guidelines and rules for using that AI. And we want to adopt a framework that looks at how we can manage that and make sure our information is still staying private and that things are being used appropriately. So we're going to look at the recommendations from that report, which is to establish accountabilities, build an AI governance team. So that would be made up of different departments within the county. For example, IT, HR, for privacy, finance, procurement, all of those things. What are the rules that we're working with when we use AI, and set up those guiding principles and define the red line, what we're never supposed to do with AI, and make sure that our information and data is remaining private. Next slide, please. So if you look at the report and within it, there's 3 tiers. It's a risk-based approach. So there's a tier 1, low risk, internal use, approved tools, no personal data, human review required. So obviously you're not just taking the word of the AI. It will tell you anything that you want to hear to a degree. It confidently lies. You have to swim downstream and make sure that the answers you're getting are correct. Tier 2 is medium risk, external or public facing. Department head review required, AI use disclosure needed. An example would be public communications, resident facing content, service recommendations. So there are examples, and I can think of one down in the States in Texas where they have AI that's embedded into their website, and it's the first contact with a customer interaction. So, and the reason that they went that route was because they were in an area where there was, I believe, something in the range of a dozen different languages being spoken. So they were using AI as a way to help with customer service. So in tier 3 is high risk, a significant resident or public impact. PIA is required, and we require the approval of the CAO. Examples would be enforcement, automated decisions, HR emergency alerts, that sort of thing, where you could have AI as a tool for that. Those are the risk tier. Next slide, please. So to establish the foundations, we'd have to form that AI governance tool. We'd have to procure enterprise grade AI, which we already have. We have Copilot. Copilot is our enterprise level AI tool that we have given staff guidance. That's the only one they can use. Reason being, all of our data is stored in our Canadian data centers. We have data agreements already with Microsoft in terms of using SharePoint and OneDrive as storage vehicles for our data through the county. We'll identify department champions, define the red lines that can't be crossed, deliver orientation and training to staff, and start a couple of pilot projects using AI. Next slide, please. Validate and expand would be the next stage 2, the norm. So evaluate the pilot results, expand to 20 or 30 users that are working on different AI projects, refine the policy and guidelines, add 2 to 3 additional use cases, so a couple other pilot projects, and establish AI office hours and share our learning with the EOITC committee so that they can see how we're using it and we can get feedback from them as well as other municipalities that have adopted this framework. So I know Quinte West has adopted it. I know Belleville has adopted it. And I believe there's a lot like us that are in the process at looking at adopting it. Next slide, please. Stage 3 is to scale it. So we embed and sustain, we embed AI in standard workflows. We broaden access to organizational wide, so everybody has access to that tool that would be able to use that tool in their job. We build a community of practice so people know what the rules are and they follow those rules, and add AI to new hire onboarding so we can help with HR in that process. Annual framework and PIA reviews, and measure and report the ROI on using AI within the organization. That's it in a nutshell. I know I'm kind of speeding through it. It's a long report, but a lot of municipalities in our region are looking at adopting that. As I said, 75% of staff are using it, but only 7% have rules that govern that use.
And you're coming back with a more fulsome report on the 28th council.
Yeah.
So Anthony, this was an overview for us.
Yeah, just a bird's eye view of the framework.
Thank you. Councillor Watson.
Warden, thank you. Through you, I will be brief. Anthony, thanks so much for your work. It's important work to have in front of us. The warden and a couple of other colleagues attended an event up in I can't remember where we were, Georgina, I guess we were.
Georgina.
And King Township was on a panel that was speaking on this very matter. One of the things that they were considering also was responsible AI usage, not around security and, the red levels and such, but around sustainability. So I would hope that any future work does look into sustainable use as it relates to energy depletion, water and what have you. And perhaps that's just links to our sustainability plan as the county is concerned. But hopefully just want to get that on your radar.
Yeah, sure. And through you, Warden, we're totally aware there's 60% more resources used in an AI conversation or search versus a Google search. So to your point, it does use a lot more resources to use that tool. But where we need to look at savings is it going to save on time versus that impact on environment? Can it make our job so we have more capacity to do more, or are we just using it and wasting resources that way? So it's a good point and fair, and we will be considering that.
Yeah, I think data centers are certainly coming, and we see New York State has banned them totally. So
through you, Warden, sorry to interrupt. just a point to your point, there's a police organization in Alberta that went to body cams that will use AI to identify people they think might be in trouble or in crisis. And it was the AI itself was basically visually profiling people and stopping people who didn't need to be stopped, which if you take an interaction like that and it's someone that's going to pick their kids up from daycare and you're making them late and they're incurring costs because you've stopped them for no reason, we need to be responsible with the way that we use this. And that to me would be a waste of resources.
Councillor Armstrong.
Yeah, thank you, Warden Clark. Thanks, Anthony. I may have missed this, but how will this cascade down to the municipalities?
Oh, through you, Warden. I know that Sheridan has shared the resource with the CAOs of municipalities. We have an ad hoc IT committee where we work with IT people associated with different townships like Selwyn. And Daryl Gummer no longer has their IT person, but with Kevin Monaghan, we work with Dave. And we're working with North Kawartha with Colin, who they've just hired. We're inviting those people also to partake in this framework and learn about it and get that information. So we're trying to share it as broadly as we can with the townships through a couple of different means.
Just to follow up, just to make sure that all 8 municipalities
Yep.
are in one way connected, even if we don't have a dedicated IT person, please.
Yep.
And thank you.
Very good. All right. Thank you, Anthony, and stay tuned. There's certainly going to be more on this subject.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Yeah, motion to receive and Deputy Warden and Councillor Nelson, all in favor. Thank you. All right, and we will now move into closed session. Under the Municipal Act, under section 239(2)K, and a mover for that, please. Looking to Councillor Amiot and Councillor Taylor, all in favor? Thank you.